r/ask Reddit. What made the popular kid at school the unpopular kid? A guy at my school got drunk at a party, got naked and inserted his penis into a Jim Beam bottle and ran around all crazy like with it attached but not having to use his hands. At the time it was quite a laugh, but it wasn't until a day or so later people thought about how small the opening was to a Jim Beam bottle. That was basically the end of him. There was one kid in my class who was the son of our maths teacher. He was crazy popular because he was able to help everyone out with their homework for that class. Turns out he was actually snooping through his dad's notes to get the answers. The teacher naturally got super suspicious after a while, so he deliberately made a fake answer sheet. Of course, the kid grabbed it and noted it all down. It was full of wrong answers, so blatant that anyone who even slightly paid attention in class would know they were way off base. The kid handed out the answers anyway, and in an instant made about half the class bomb, and his popularity dropped like a rock as they all accused him of deliberately making them fail. They moved him to another class and they never had an incident of cheating again. He shit his pants. I remember a guy at my school kept on asking to use the restroom, and the teacher kept refusing. Eventually, he went up to a trash can, dropped trowel, and took a shit. This was middle school, but nevertheless, folks remember it to this day. He accidentally stabbed and blinded, in one eye, the nicest kid in the school by throwing a stick at him. The kid that was blinded grew up to be super successful and is now married, with a baby on the way. He was arrested his junior year for raping his 8-year-old sister. Yeah, that would do it. His girlfriend dumped him and moved away to a private school, so he started sending videos of him jacking off to the other popular girls in school. Having a set of keys given to him by the school. WTF. I know, because he was one of the really popular kids. Then using those keys to break into the school and steal $30 cord of woodworking metalworking tools. To be fair, the school got what was coming by giving keys to a student. He recorded himself shoving carrots, cucumbers, and a bottle of hot sauce up his ass in the back of a van. Then someone found the video and shared it with the whole school. He didn't get a Sega Dreamcast, but I did, so I became the popular kid. Until a PlayStation 2 kid rolled up. I was relatively popular. I was in JV basketball, marching band, mathletes, and track, and pretty much made friends with everyone until my best friend at the time claimed I pushed her down the stairs and caused her to have surgery on both legs. Thing is, I was at my grandmother's funeral in another state the entire week she claimed it happened. While the teachers kept us apart and understood my side, none of the others really believed me, except the anime club. They believed me. Go Weebs. When he was caught taking upskirt photos of girls in school and sending them to his friends, his popularity went from hero to zero in a split second. Yikes, that's sexual harassment and felony, right? Everyone else graduated. Edit. Thanks for the gold award. This was clearly enjoyed more than I anticipated. She stopped handing out free Skittles. Rip Skittle Girl's reputation. The first ones are supposed to be free. She's just trying to run a business here. Guy wasn't necessarily the popular kid, but it wasn't a big school, so everyone knew everyone. I think between 9th and 10th grade he was found alone in his car behind the local arcade beating off. He was called Thumper from that day forward. No idea what happened after graduation, but he has to have some bad memories of those years. He sexually assaulted one of the most liked girls in the school, and after legal action took place, and he came back to school, nobody spoke to him. Nobody acknowledged him. He played soccer, and so the school let him stay, for some ducking reason. If they wouldn't give him justice, we all decided to ourselves. Started straight up lying to teachers to get people in trouble. Don't know how he thought that was gonna work out. Edit. Spelling. One of the kids at our school lived with his grandma cause his parents died. Donghead and a group of his mates started harassing the old lady whenever she came to pick him up. Principal was reported this and they ended up getting expelled altogether. His parents gave him money and bought him all this new expensive stuff, and he rubbed it in everyone's faces and everyone kind of got sick of him. We had a kid in our school who acted rich like a lot. New phone, expensive clothes, expensive accessories, watches, rings, necklace, etc. So he invited select few people, myself included, to his house for a small party. The thing is, when we got there, it was a small apartment in a rundown complex. We learned that his parents worked double jobs with extra shifts to pay for all his stuff. My heart broke a lot that day from the way he acted towards his parents and so ungrateful. When everyone found out he was jerking off to science teacher, she, in the class, along with his friends. This was 8th grade. Are you really jerking off alone? No, I'm with the science team. He shared his dong pic. It was reportedly really small. He got teased so much he had to move away. I swear this has happened in every year group, in every school, since camera phones became commonplace. I don't know why anybody thinks it's a good idea. He wore a t-shirt that said, "If you go to Brown University, you're chump." Unfortunately, many people in the school had plans to go to Brown University, and they shunned him. Edit. Whoops, my mistake. The t-shirt thing wasn't what made him unpopular. It was because he was convicted of statutory rape. A girl in my school fingered herself with Kit Kat in the dining hall and then ate it. WTF. This guy at my table would play the "no one likes me, I'm the center of attention now" card. As in, he would fake sadness for attention, redirecting conversation and drawing the energy from a room. Like the kid who won't be friends with you anymore because you wore the same color shirt. He was quite wealthy too and would rub it in your face. The kid had cancer, was super cool while he was doing chemo. Cancer went into remission and he became a total douche. I hear chemo can affect a person permanently in many ways. He got into legal trouble because he and his team embezzled Misuse $250K from the student union. The university kicked him out, stopped paying the annual $2 million to the student union, withhold funds, although that was later overruled by the courts, and revoked the privileges granted to the student union. Earlier this year, they stated that they and students are no affiliation to the student union after 1 year of negotiations. His team was still running the student union because they were elected. They bought votes by offering pancakes, waffles and donuts for those who vote for their party and had street volunteers that would pressure students to vote for the party. It actually led to a law being passed in Ontario that prevented universities to force students to pay non-mandatory fees. The scandal was revealed by a student party called the Rhino Party back in December 2018. January and February, heads started rolling and law and accounting firms started getting involved to figure out how much was spent. It was rumored the figure was anywhere from 100k 900k. Ontario provincial lawmakers passed the law in the summer of 2018. Starting fall 2019. I had the choice whether I wanted to pay auxiliary fees to support the student newspaper, NGOs that operated in the school, support the student union, etc. That provincial law was recently overturned by the courts this year, so starting next fall, I am forced to pay fees associated with groups that I don't support. He went from being popular to being a school meme. There's actually a lot of bank statements available that showcase what they bought. There was a really pretty girl that was quite popular in my high school. She was a bit snobby to people and sorta rude. I recall one time she threw a textbook at my groin because I was leaning back in my desk and thought it was funny. I guess it kinda was thinking back. She also liked to make fun of the fact that I was Mexican on more than one occasion. Anyways, she gained significant weight our junior/senior year in high school. And I guess a lot of the popular kids decided to disown her for it. I never actually heard anything, but I recall her sitting all alone at lunch one day. Not my best moment, but I walked by her, pointed, and plainly said, "You earned this." My partner likes to tell the story of how she became the unpopular kid at school. She was about 6/7. So primary 2 here in the UK, and a trend kicked off in her class of eating dog biscuits. All the kids were stealing dog biscuits from home and eating them at break time. Unfortunately, she didn't have a dog, and just had to eat normal human biscuits at school. She was ostracized every break time for it. Peer pressure is weird sometimes. A popular guy in my year pissed himself during an exam in our gym hall. Unfortunately for him, the biggest a-hole in our year was sitting directly behind him. He immediately stood up and yelled, "Pee pissed himself." He proceeded to get teary-eyed and say, "It's my energy drink. It spilled over and over before the exam supervisor literally dragged him out of the hall. 2 weeks later he returned to school the unpopular kid and kept a low profile for a while until it eventually died down and he climbed the social ranks once more. That is until an episode of The In-Betweeners, a popular TV show in the UK aired in which one of the main characters shits himself in the exam hall and it reminded everyone of what happened, effectively nuking his popularity all over again. Crystal meth. Sounds like a hell of a story. He ducked his friend's mom at a party. Let's call popular kid A and his friend B. B's mom was arrested, as she should have been, and B faced torment from basically everyone that knew what happened. Kid A continued to brag about his actions. Eventually people gained sympathy for B and Kid A lost his popularity real fast. She made fun of a girl with cancer. Made a joke like, "Why don't you ask your mom to buy you a wig? I can see your scalp." And overnight, she was the least liked person in school, and 100% deserved it. He thought it would be cool to bring a loaded BB gun to school and got the cops called on him by another student. What happens if I'm homeschooled? The popular kid of your house, IDK. He beat the shit out of me because I wouldn't give him a blowjob in our locker area. Broke my fingers, ribs, fractured my eye socket. I think I lost a tooth as well. Nothing was done because he was a rich kid, so everyone at school ostracized him as their own brand of personal justice. When I was in primary school, the popular kid thought it would be funny to flush the class pet, a hamster called Nibbles, down the toilet. All the kids thought the hamster would have died. He quickly became known as the kid who killed a hamster. He ended up changing schools for another reason. BTW, the hamster survived. I don't know how pipes work, but I heard the caretaker eventually found him. The school still gave Nibbles away after that. Edit. Holy shit, 1,500 upvotes is the most I've ever got. Thank you. If you were wondering about the kid, he had bad ADHD or something like that. He was transferred to a school that specialized in kids with behavioral problems. He has a stable job as a bookmaker, but that's all I know about him. Also, although we were told Nibbles survived, we never saw him again. All we know is that he was given away to a random family. There is a possibility the teacher made that up, as another Redditor pointed out, and Nibbles actually did perish and they just didn't want to upset us. He started calling a bunch of kids the N-word and his life just went downhill from there. When school started, she was so popular she could hang out with anyone in any kind of friend group. She was that beautiful, social, athletic blonde girl. Then, she began hanging out with me, the 16 years old handicapped girl walking slowly with a wooden cane like an old woman. She instantly got unpopular, but still decided to stick around, and we made our own group of friends. 10 years later, she's a popular jeweler in my old town, and still as beautiful, funny and kind as ever. I went to school from 4th grade to high school with a kid my age whose father was a prominent city official in our town. Even though we lived only a few blocks from one another, we were in different worlds. My background was much more blue collar, and unfortunately I lived in an alcoholic and physically violent household. For these and other reasons I never understood. His mother despised me and she wanted her son to have nothing to do with me. She actually called my mother once to suggest that she keep me away from her son. Since our class in life was so very different, I found him smart and funny and fascinating, and we pulled around. He wore slacks while I wore jeans, and his suede shoes were much better than my sneakers. By our high school years, he was a football letterman while I was a band geek, and he was in college prep while I took vocational courses. We still knew each other, but he was in a college track and I was living day by day. As graduation approached, we learned that his parents had worked with the local congressman for his appointment to West Point. Tragically, the night of graduation he and his girlfriend went out with him driving drunk on a country road. He hit an oak tree and she was killed. That's the last I ever heard of him. But once in a while I Google his name just to see if he might surface somewhere. I sometimes think of how mortified his status-conscious mother must have felt, and wonderful about his girlfriend's family, and of course what happened to my friend who killed someone just before his life began. I wish him well over 40 years later. I'm just not sure what happens when life seems to be laid out before you with concrete expectations and it all goes so tragically wrong in the blink of an eye. He threw a watermelon at a black kid's house. He was chatting up my much younger sister, her 12 him 17. And a few months later someone in the class brought it back up, so he picked a fight with me. I have barely any muscle, but what I found out that day is I have one hell of a right arm. Stopped coming to school. Didn't even do her exams in the end. Just sat at home and smoked weed all the time. Didn't even work. She just got boyfriends who would pay for everything for her. Became spiritual. Got the Hindu symbol OM tattooed on her finger. Got dreadlocks, etc. Posted weird photos on her Instagram. It's hard to explain, but she just sort of became weird. I once heard her talking to a bunch of 13-year-olds about how her boyfriend just got out of prison. ? She also always spoke about wanting to have a baby. This weed smoking, non-working, 18-year-old girl wanted a child. In the end, nobody in my school even spoke to her anymore. Even her friends didn't like her much because she was sort of a beach. She was popular because she was super pretty and smart. It's sad. She obviously has no direction in her life. Her only qualifications are the exams we did when we were 15. Her brother and sister were still in the school. They were really nice and basically the opposites to her. I hope they do well. They find out the house he lives in. Kid bragged about it being bigger than everyone else's and ended up bad looking house, I'm assuming. People found out he was killing animals in super ducked up ways. Held a dog underwater until it drowned. Ran over a cat with a lawnmower. Used baseball bats and machetes. Dude was doing some serial killer level stuff. Now he's in the army. Oh boy, do I feel protected. She first got a slutty reputation and then got terrible acne. Went from cute cheerleader girl to pariah. I felt sorry for her. Whoa, you made it to the end? You're a ducking beast. I'll cut you a deal. Smash like and subscribe for more curated content, bruh. It's free and that's a great price.